Hi, and welcome to the Revolution Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Oliveira, and it's my goal to bring you clear-cut strategies and drills assigned to help make you and your program better. With that in mind, let's begin. All right, so today's guest is Ben Pollard with FCA. Can you tell us, Coach, a little bit more about FCA, and what is that to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, I joined FCA staff about 5.5 years ago here in Dallas after coaching for about 29 years. FCA, for me, my high school experience, college experience with FCA got me involved in coaching. I spent a lot of time around athletes and coaches, and it really solidified my desire to go into coaching. And so it's been part of my life from probably since I was 14 years old. I'm trying to instill that same passion probably in coaches and young athletes here in Dallas where I serve.
Okay. And you serve in the northern part of Dallas, correct?
Yes, sir. Dallas is split. The Dallas schools, DISD schools, are split along I-30. So my partner is Danny Nolan. He has all those schools on the south side, and then I have the 8 DISD high schools on this north side and 13 middle schools.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. How can coaches become involved with FCA?
Well, when I originally came here, that was my first thing, was to try to engage the schools that I'd been given. And part of that was just helping with strength and conditioning stuff.
Okay.
Because some coaches knew my background. But, on every campus, we're looking for that coach that's willing to be the huddle sponsor, whether that's a coach's Bible study or whether that's a student-led Bible study, student-led huddle. If there's that desire on a coach's part, all he has to do is reach out to Danny or myself if they're in this area. But there's representatives all over the DFW.
And it's nationwide as well, correct?
Nationwide. So if you even went to just fca.org, and you could begin the process of looking and finding who is the representative in your area simply by plugging in a zip code.
Wow, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of beat me a little bit to the punch here because you just kind of let the cat out of the bag. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was because one of your specialties is strength and conditioning, and I know you helped me a lot with my program. And you're helping right now with Hillcrest High School, and we're here at the Hillcrest Panthers beautiful field. But I wanted to talk to you, or I wanted to ask you, tell us how you got to be a strength and conditioning coach, and where did that start, and all that.
So, like I said, I was really involved with FCA in high school, and I played high school football and high school baseball. Baseball was my love. My high school baseball coach, John Dudley, was inducted into the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame in 1999. He coached at Coronado. I don't even know how many years he coached, but he was also the FCA sponsor. So he had a big impact in my life as a young man, probably the most influential male in my life apart from my dad during my time in high school. We're still good friends. He works for Coaches Outreach, another Christian ministry that serves coaches. But as when I went to college, I was still involved with FCA, but I wasn't good enough as an athlete to play collegiate athletics. I went to Texas Tech, and I still had some desire.
And I see you're representing there.
Yes, representing the Raiders. And one thing I'll say about that is, if a young man has a desire to play college sports at whatever level, there are places to go and play. And sometimes I look and I'm thankful for my what happened to me as a result of going to Tech, and then there's other times I think I should have gone somewhere and pursued the desire to play baseball. So just know, if you're a young man and that's what you want to do, that there's places that you could have an opportunity to pursue that.
There's a lot of teams out there that young guys can help out.
Yes. Now, as a student at Tech, like I say, I was still really involved with FCA, so I had a lot of friends who played football at Tech. Both, I was in a fraternity as well, and had several fraternity brothers that were football players, and guys I was involved in. Guys like Ron Reeves. Ron was a starting quarterback at Tech for 4 years. And for me to have the chance to work out with them in the summer, which I'd love to do, I had to kind of work for the strength coach. So my job was cleaning up the weight room and locking things up at night and that, but that allowed me to begin that process of being around the weight room and being around athletes and watching training and just being involved. And early on, first of all, there weren't that many strength coaches in 1980, not even collegiately, usually not more than one. And so any kind of help that they could get was appreciated, and that opened the door for me. When I finished in '84, I moved here to Dallas, and I took a job with a company called Briggs Weaver here. Kind of needed to go to work for a little while just to make some money. But 3 years into it, I really had the desire, that desire to be coaching really took over, and I went back to Tech to go to grad school, and I was a graduate assistant for Joe Jurassic, who was the strength coach at Texas Tech at the time. And Joe, some of you may have heard that name. Joe was the Dallas Cowboys strength coach for 15 years here during 5 coaching changes.
So you've been under some pretty good tutelage as far as strength and conditioning, and like I said, you actually helped me develop a very good strength and conditioning program way back when. One of the things that we talked about was that baseball is an explosive sport, and I remember when I played in high school, that's not how I was trained. I was trained to run long distances, which I really hated. I was told not to do push-ups and anything with the chest or shoulders was off limits. And but over the years, I was a personal trainer for a little bit, and then when I played, I actually found gains when I actually started working out. So we met, started talking, and you helped me develop my program. But can we talk a little bit about the explosiveness in baseball and what it is, what muscle groups do you think are important to strengthen for coaches out there?
Okay. Well, and again, just like you say, there was a time, and even when I was the head strength coach at Sam Houston State for 9+ years, and for my first few years, John Skeeter, the longtime baseball coach at Sam, didn't want to lift his kids. And it wasn't until like the early 90s when LSU had so much success and won a couple national championships in baseball, and their dudes were just different. I mean, they had some big, strong baseball kids. They hit a lot of home runs, and they were really successful. And after watching that, he approached me and said, "Hey, I want our guys to look like their guys." And I said, "Well, I don't know if they'll look like our guys, but we definitely need to start training."
Right.
And you're right. The part of it was the explosive part. And so there's different philosophies, because some people training baseball players don't believe in cleaning, and I've always been a big advocate of the cleans from the hang and from the box or from the rack. I don't clean young. I've never cleaned anybody from the floor. I think it takes way too much time to get efficient at it. But I like cleaning. I like explosive movements. I like explosive box squats. When I had resources, we were doing explosive squats using the chains. We were, using bands, those things. So we were trying to yeah, definitely train for explosiveness. Doing a lot of combo lifts, which would include a squat and a jump of some type. So constantly working on that. Our running programs were all designed, like you said, in the old days, especially with pitchers, after a pitcher threw, a starter, then he usually had to go run a mile or 2 miles
Right.
the next day. And we just slowly trying to rethink that. And so I went from, hey, go run a mile to, hey, how about run 16 110s, and run them at a good speed and give yourself a minute rest in between. And the conditioning part is there, but it's also at a higher intensity, which doesn't take away from that explosive part of the athletes. So
Right.
just rethinking how we trained. I don't even know, the rotational part of baseball makes it unique.
Right.
And I would say that I didn't catch up with that part until the last 10 years of my coaching career and see
so-
what other people are doing.
So you're talking about hand cleans for that's legs and core.
Right.
You're talking about deadlifts.
Yes. Yep.
In fact, that young man right there, I saw him lift 500 pounds back in December. So deadlifts, squats,
Yes.
lunges.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, lunges at various angles, backward, forward. We do some lateral lunges with bands, trying to keep hip flexibility. So all of those lower body things are the concentration, especially as we're in season now and you've watched a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm going to concentrate more on the lower body movements and lower body flexibility, and then core as well. And core means more than just abs. Core is your lower back and those things as well.
Right.
Even into your glutes to your postural things. So core is really important because a lot of guys, if they're weak in their core, can't transfer lower body strength into upper body movement.
Gotcha.
So constantly trying to create that balance where it is, and I won't say by any means I'm perfect, but we're getting better. The new weight room here at Hillcrest has allowed us to do more than we did 3 years ago when we
Right.
didn't have those facilities. We do a lot of band work, and I really like the pulling movements and things that we can do with bands. That offers a whole different variation of things, especially if you've got young athletes who are struggling to do pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
That's a good point. it opens the door to a lot of other things that we can do. So I really like the bands, and Coach Moore here at Hillcrest has been really proactive in spending his money on equipment
Yeah.
that's been helpful for us
Yeah.
as a baseball team.
So we're working on that, like you said, the rotational. What muscle groups or what exercises would you concentrate for that to help that rotational for the pitching and for the hitting?
Well, that's where lunging is part of that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of med ball work, which we don't. Even with this crew, I probably don't do as much med ball work as I'd like to, which would be about med ball throwing, because we can't really throw the way we want to in the weight room,
Right.
because there's mirrors on all of the walls
Right.
rather than blank walls, so it's sometimes harder to do that.
Yeah, I understand.
But anything that's designed first core, internal oblique, because you're using your obliques when you're rotating and pitching, and you're using your obliques when you swing the bat. So trying to do those, whether those side pillars, reach throughs, tic tacs, or Russian twist is what they're actually called, but
Right.
those things to help strengthen obliques.
Okay. So yeah, I actually today in their session I saw them throwing the med ball, 10-pound med ball down into the ground, med ball throws. Do you ever do any med ball throwing to the side like
Well,
that?
that's so Saturday when we brought Ryan in, he's by himself, we did 3 variations of med ball rotational throws. One that's a simple throw with lined up with feet parallel on each side, and then one with 90-degree angle like swinging a bat, and then that one that's like a full push of the ball, more like his motion as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we do that. Again, I just can't have the whole
Group.
I can't have 25 guys doing it because there's no place to do it.
Right.
I train some young guys. I help young kids that are part of the Dallas Mustang organization.
Okay.
And their facility's called the Yard.
Right.
And the Yard, you can step out of the backside of it, and there's a
Big
large brick wall
Right.
there that's perfect for having large groups throw the med ball.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a believer in med balls. Scoop tossing, just regular overhead tossing, is good for power development. And we could do some of these things on the field, and probably will try to in the fall, where you're throwing it, but now it takes more time to retrieve it. When you have a wall that you can use, the ball's bouncing right back to you. So there's rotation, then there's anti-rotation.
Yeah,
as well.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So, what should a baseball program look like through the whole year? And talking about high school athletics here, so what should it look like as far as in season, off season, and preseason?
Okay. Well, I think first and foremost, you want to use the off season, the fall time to develop just strength levels. Deadlift, squats, both front squat, back squat, bench press. We want to try to make the athlete overall stronger. Dumbbell presses, those things, because until they develop strength, watching Harry walk off here, as Harry's gotten stronger, I've watched his vertical jump grow. So his power output has developed as his strength levels have gotten better, because an athlete that's not strong enough can't really even control his own body as well as he needs to be competitive. There's a certain level of strength it takes to run a 5-10-5 shuttle fast,
Mm-hmm.
or to steal a base, those things. So trying to use that time when we're not playing baseball on a regular basis, although some of these kids play fall ball with club teams, but focusing on overall strength. And
So in the
for
offseason,
some,
you're looking for
strength
gains and
development.
strength.
Yes.
Okay.
And we haven't done it here I've not done it anywhere with baseball kids. We've never just done a true max,
Okay.
which would be nice to have. It's always good to know where a kid's strength level is
Right.
on a squat or on a clean or on a deadlift. Knowing that is helpful in terms of how you set up the remainder of the year.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
if I know that a kid can squat 300 pounds back squat, now he knows too, when I say we're going to work at 60 to 70% of your maximal strength, now we know how to set that up rather than guesswork.
Right, I understand that. That's a good point.
The reason is about recruitment. So if I know my true max is 300 pounds and you want me lifting at 75%, I know that I need to be lifting 225 pounds, and I need to try to be moving it explosively to continue to help develop my power,
Okay.
as opposed to guessing,
Yeah.
or opposed to feeling like this feels kind of heavy today. Well, feeling comes and goes with fatigue.
Yeah.
Where if we're just trusting feelings, we may not actually be hitting, like moving enough weight to actually develop power
Yeah.
or actually develop strength. So knowing those things is important for the athlete.
Right.
And then it's important for me to know that we're training in zones that are going to help continue development.
Right. So let's transition from the off season and go preseason to end season. What are you doing there? Are you still trying to get your max strength, or
Well, we
more
were,
maintenance?
because of how odd this year was to start with, and how many kids were actually in the off season versus how many kids began back to school, back to training with the team preseason. We pushed pretty hard preseason. Now we were in that a little lower volume. We were in that 5x5 range, but for those kids that were missed a lot of off season, we were trying to help them get caught up a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, until we actually started playing, we were still kind of pushing to get stronger, even in that kind of preseason. And I say preseason from the time the semester started, the spring semester of school, till then practice starts, and then even through the time you play your first game.
Okay.
And first scrimmage. So then after that first scrimmage, then we begin to transition out and drop the volume of training down. We still, now the emphasis is really power more than it is strength. It's power outputs. And then you got the oddities of tournament play. So
Right.
like last weekend we played 4 games in the weekend. This weekend we played 5. So that's a little more hit and miss in terms of the true training.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're stepping into district play. That creates a little more rhythm. So we're gonna be lifting twice a week. Our hardest lift, our heaviest lift is probably gonna be Wednesday, because then we have a Thursday break and then Friday before we play. Where Monday we're gonna be a little less intensity of lift, more power output, but less lifting to be able to be prepared for
So you're
Tuesday.
still going to continue your strength during the season,
Yes.
at least one time a week.
Yes. Yeah, we're still going to push a little bit.
Okay.
And we probably like to get in that 70 to 80% range where we're
So it's not
maintaining strength
full on
levels.
max or anything
No,
like that. It's never
no.
going.
And I
that
don't
high.
ever want to put a kid in jeopardy of hurting his back or
Right.
straining something where he's going to miss a game. We're going to be careful as we can be, but at the same time, we want to keep performing well. Like I say, it's important that we're really good in March, but then we're even better in April and May as we start playing into playoff time and those things. We still want to be our best.
Right. Right.
You know, it's the same way with so many sports. Your most important track meets aren't in February and March. They're in April and May. And so
Right.
you always want to be maintaining the most power output that you can and
Gotcha.
trying to keep your strength levels up.
Well, so how long have you been here at Hillcrest, working with the Panthers here?
I'd say that Ashley was one of my first, so really probably about 4 solid years that I've
Okay.
been here. So I've watched this group of seniors kind of go from freshman to senior year.
Well, I know we have. He was just throwing. He left, but we have Ryan Prager here. He is right now. He's committed to where A&M.
Aggies, yep, he's committed to play for A&M.
Yep, and it's probably was a fun thing to watch him grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Man,
I mean, yeah, because Ryan is a really good baseball player. He's a great student, but he also works really hard and is really intentional when he lifts. He wants to know, why am I doing this? How can you help me get better at this? You know, he's a guy that's invested into his own
right,
development.
right,
So he's not just randomly taking what I say and going with it.
not a robot.
Yeah, he's got some input in it, and so we have great discussions. Because one of the things that I encourage all these kids to do, they all love to look at their phones. Well, there's tons of
Information.
training information,
Yeah.
whether that's how to throw a baseball better, or how to field a ball better, or how to swing the bat better, or how to get stronger in the weight room, or how to get faster. Those things are there. TCU puts out some great video
Exactly.
of their guys training, and
Yeah.
they've done a great job, and you look at the success they've had and
Yeah.
been to World Series and have a lot of guys drafted.
Right.
So, but they work at it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a program that works really hard. So yeah, it's fun to watch guys get stronger, and just I don't know, for Ryan, since he's been here, it's either 16 or 18 miles per hour faster on his velocity.
Well, I mean, he's
in the
throwing.
4
He hit
years.
95. What, 2 weeks ago or last
Yeah,
week?
last
something
week.
like that.
So yeah, so he's got, his potential isn't tapped out by any means, and for him, I think that it's going to take being around even a higher level of players to
Right.
really squeeze more out of them.
Right.
So
Well, Ben, thank you so much for doing this with me.
love it, love baseball, love being around these young men. And I know how much impact you coaches have, because my life was impacted that way by my coach, and just the joy of watching kids create a team and be teammates. And in the middle of this COVID, we think back a year ago where we lost baseball.
Yeah, we're shut down right now.
Yep, we were shut down, and it was really sad. It would have. I thought about, had I lost my senior year of baseball in high school, I would have been really devastated. It was hard
Yeah.
when it ended, when it was supposed to end. So I'm just thankful to be around these young men and see their energy, and they give me energy just being around them. So
Would you mind sharing your, if any coaches out there would have a question about working out, they'll probably contact me, but do you want to share your email?
Yes. So mine's pretty simple. It's just B, the letter B, first name is Ben, Pollard, Pollard, at fca.org. And if you email me with questions or whatever, I can send you a sample program. I can send you the program we did in the fall. Josh Myrick is the trainer here, and Josh and I get to spend a lot of time back and forth asking questions, because he's in charge of taking care of them if they do get hurt.
Right.
And so he has input here, and then Corey Eaton and I always have conversations when I see Corey about training. He's got a son of his own, and I have two sons that played college athletics, so I'm in it for the young men too. I want to see them develop as fully as they can in the time they're here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alex.
All right, that's it.
All right, brother. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth. This episode was chock full of strength and conditioning info, as well as how to tackle your year-long baseball program. To contact Coach Pollard directly, please send him an email at bpollard@fca.org. If you want to contact me and send me any information or feedback, please email me at revolutionbaseballpodcast@yahoo.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next week, and good luck this week.